For the first time in way over a month, I can finally say welcome back to Bradders Grappers, episode 28. And we have a double bill of Futureshock Wrestling, as well as Infinite and Atomic. So before we kind of get into the show, just kind of like explain what's been going on. I effectively didn't feel well for the last month, which is why there has been no recordings. Sounded like Bob Fleming from the Fast Show. Had literal flu, which killed me. It felt like it was almost killing me, at least. So that is why there has been no podcasts for coming up to a month, actually. So that is why. But I am 99% healthier than I was. To which I was coughing my guts up at the last Futureshock show. So if you saw me, you'll remember you heard anyone coughing. That all said, we are back reviewing, as I say, 2 Futureshock shows. However, though, I am not alone. Again, with my unofficial co-host, I'm trying to think what I can give as a nickname. I'll say you're my little Alex Horn for the Bradders podcast. Or as I've put here, and as some will know, the Warrington Meltzer himself, Myles Smith. Good evening.
I'm going to run with that gimmick. Yeah, I like that gimmick. It's good to be back.
You're keeping that gimmick now, then?
I'm keeping that gimmick.
To be fair, it is one of the best gimmicks I've actually seen on the Discords. As we kind of said off, well, prior to recording at least, it feels a long time since we actually did a podcast together. So which I think it was probably January.
TNT, yeah.
Yeah. That's how long ago it was. But that's all going to change. Because as I say, we have 2 shows to look back on and a good memory test for both of us. So we will start firstly with the 21st of February at the BEC Arena in Manchester. Again, there's a couple of things wrong with that statement. The Bowlers Exhibition Centre Arena. You don't need to say arena if it's a centre. It's a completely different thing. And also, Manchester, it's Trafford. And it will always be Trafford. But that's just being nitpickety by me. So, we had Futureshock Breaks Convention VI. And this was not your typical Futureshock show. Effectively, because you had For the Love of Wrestling at that venue, they would include a fair few of the guests on this show, just to get a few more kind of like people through the doors. I'll ask you before we get into the matches. It definitely did not feel very Futureshock like this show, did it?
No. Maybe a couple of the matches, like maybe the first match, and that was about it.
Yeah. Because when you look at the card was really good, in fairness. But the only match on it that seemed to be more in keeping with Futureshock was the opening match we got, which was the Futureshock tag team titles with the 05 in Deck Henry and Harvey Dukes, with their manager for the evening in Christy Hemme, as they went up against the defending champions in FTM finely tuned machines, that being Critchy and Tom McCall, with their manager for the night in Melina. What was your view on this match before we kind of give you my take on things?
Personally, I thought it was like quite a good opening match. I enjoyed the two entourages with Hemi and Melina. Sort of predictable with what was going on between Critchy and Melina, with Critchy trying to show off to Melina, which, yeah, good try, because that got you a kick to the balls, lad.
Yeah. It was a weird match for me because Hemi came out obviously with the good guys. Melina came out and did not really kind of be heelish, so to speak, in this match. She might as well have kind of like walked around and just joined like the 05, to which I thought we were going to get that quite a few times during this contest. We didn't. We just had like Critchy and Tom just shouting like at Melina, just saying, "You're on our side, you stay there, you in this and you're doing that." It was a really solid opener. I will say that for it. Again, it's one of those where I'm trying to recall things that happened in the match. But I'm trying to remember who kind of like got isolated, if it was Henry or Dukes, or if it was both at different points. I want to say they both took turns of being like isolated from their partner for most of it.
I felt like Dukes was in the ring a lot longer than Deck. I felt like it was a showcase for Dukes, it felt like.
Yeah. I think also for this match, it was a good way to showcase like both teams as well.
Yeah, to newer people.
Yeah, because a lot of that crowd were not regulars.
No, they were.
I there was a few friends I had that had travelled from the Midlands. A few that had travelled from Liverpool, which kind of like we know who a few of them are. But a lot of them had travelled from all over the place for the convention. So this was their first time seeing a lot of these. The crowd, I felt, were a bit quiet for this match, but as we kind of went through the night, you could arguably say they were the MVPs on this occasion, because from starting off kind of quiet, they definitely got a lot rowdier, but I think alcohol may have a bit to play in that. The end result, though, saw a title change with the 05 becoming your brand new tag team champions. Again, was not fully kind of a shock, to be honest. I think when they built this up for the actual event, with it being the only real kind of like storyline going into the show, it made more sense. It's arguably the biggest event they'll have this year. But there was just a part of me that thought they could have done this kind of like at a proper Futureshock show, because I think you would have got more of a bigger crowd reaction than what you got. But the match was a solid enough. No negatives really I can say about it. We then went to a, as they've put, Survivor Series elimination tag team match, which was Team RVD, which featured Melissa Fierce, Najay, Romy Kendrick, and Mr. Happy Stephen Cross. I love you, really, Stephen. Van Dam against Team Sandman, that being Gorgon, Lily Winter, Peter Sador, and Solomon, with their team captain in the Sandman. Before we get into the match, what was your take on the entrance?
RVD, like, it was fantastic seeing RVD. I've been wanting to see Rob for ages, but Sandman, oh
Yeah.
my god, that entrance. It went on and on and on. He went around the whole center and literally interacting with literally anyone he could find, trying to offer people a beer or make him down their beer. It was crazy entrance.
It's the closest I've actually felt to being at like an old school ECW event with the entrance. Because I think someone told me they had like 4 minutes for the entrance, and Sandman just went, "I'm here. I might as well get as much as I can out of it," and it must have gone on for about 6 minutes. We went through the entire kind of Enter the Sandman theme. Actually, say, doing his usual coming through the crowd, which obviously stupid me did not realize that's what he was going to do. As you say, looked and tried to pick out fans to like pour his beer and have them drinking it. A lot of people turned him down, which I kind of laughed at. It's almost like he picked like all the teetotalers in that room, because just people going, "No, I don't drink." He almost felt like he was getting annoyed with it. Watching everyone in the ring was fun to see as well, because I think even they had this look of, how long's he taking here? But mixed with kind of like feeling giddy as well, thinking, "Oh, this is great. I'm enjoying this." It was a moment. I think that's probably the standout moment of the whole show. In my view, at least. The match itself, though, again, this was a slightly weird one as well. So I did write the eliminations down in order, but I seem to have lost them. So I'm going to try and see if I can remember. So I think we lost Stephen Cross first.
Yep.
Then we lost, I believe, I want to say Gorgon, or was it Sador? No, it was Gorgon, I think.
Yeah.
Then we lost Najay.
And then Lily.
Then Lily. Then
Peter was lost for their team.
Yeah, because it ended up with Fierce and Romy still there.
Or was it? No, was it Gorgon, Solomon? I think it was Gorgon first, and then Solomon, and then Lily, and then Peter.
because I remember the final three, pardon, were Melissa Fates and Romy Kendrick for RVD, and for Sandman it was Sador, who again felt very much like the guests they had did not particularly want to be heelish on this show. They wanted to play kind of like the babyface role, because Sandman and RVD, most of this match were just talking across the ring from each other and just laughing quite a lot of the time. RVD trying to keep as much in character as he could. Sandman was having an absolute ball. You could see that on his face. He was having an absolute whale of time. So in the end, we saw Romy Kendrick hitting a 5-star frog splash on Sador to pick up the victory. We then had Sador challenging Sandman. Fierce and Kendrick holding Sador by the arms to wait for Sandman to get into the ring and cane Sador. But in truth, he caned more Kendrick than Sador. It seemed to bounce off Sador and just strike Kendrick in the face. Which, again, it's not a case of I don't think it was meant to happen. It wasn't meant to happen, but that's what occurred.
We'll say Pete's chin did it.
We could say that. But it literally just bounced off his head and seemed to do more damage to Kendrick than anything. But this match was just a whole lot of fun. Well, I don't know. What was your take on this one?
It was decent. It was a solid enough elimination match. The only thing I'd say was slightly disappointing was how quick Stephen Cross got eliminated. It was like a minute. It was like, I would say it was a minute, and then he got eliminated. It was like, why bother having him in the match if he's going to get eliminated within a minute?
I mean, it was strange having, when you looked at the teams, having Cross on the kind of the good guy side, considering Cross has been pretty much a villain. I almost felt like it might have been someone else, and they just thought, we'll throw Steven in, because it seemed a very odd choice to put him in that team. But yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. And then we moved to the main event of the first half, which was for the Love of Wrestling Invitational Rumble, which were the following competitors. So we had Teddy Ray, Slam Johnson, Seraphim, Pele, Josh Easy, Jensen Vesper, James Grayson, Haley Cooling, Grado, Dynamite Lee Dawson. Sorry to any Scottish folks. Dr. Proctor, Danny Proper, CP Riley, Bryok Strong, Big T, Bentley, Aziz, Aitonstein, Bushwhacker Luke, and Tony Wright. There was some fun and games at the start of this Rumble, it has to be said. The first 4 entrants were not a surprise to anyone, due to the fact that they put the name above the ring of who was entrant number 1 2, 3, and 4. I think it was after Teddy Ray. I think he was the 4th entrant. From that point onwards, they decided to just like shut all the electrics off above the board and then bring them back on. And it really was a case of like a proper rumble then. What was your take on this rumble match?
This rumble was just a lot of fun seeing a lot of different wrestlers interact with each other. Like, you got to see a lot of different encounters that you would probably never see before.
Mm.
The start with the issues with the entrance was a bit annoying.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but at the same time, it didn't fully kind of like take away the enjoyment. If anything, you could say it enhanced it, just because you knew who was coming out, and if no one else knew, you could make yourself look like really intelligent and just go, I think this person's coming out at number 3, until they realize like it's on the board above. But there were mini stories in this rumble, it has to be said. The main one that kind of like running through the whole rumble was Aziz, who was accompanied at ringside by Kong. And Aziz was probably, or would have been, eliminated about 6 or 7 times in this match. But Kong was always there to kind of like make the save or catch him, put him back on the ring apron. Did have a lot of people pissed throughout this rumble because of it. The amount of people, because I think the first half I sat through it, and the second half I ended up moving to the back, chatting to Andy from the group chat wrestling podcast. And from kind of, I mean, the little things you had going on. So you had Pele and Grayson. You had an incident where Grayson looked to be getting eliminated. Pele made the save. I'm trying to think who it was. I think it could have been Big T or Seraphim. It was, again, mind is very hazy. But it ended up with Pele holding Grayson's hand, trying to save him. Grayson would lose his grip, get eliminated. Pele kind of like wiping his hands and trying to show that he didn't do it deliberately, and just claiming he had very clammy hands, which you would. But again, in our kind of fantasy booking, we made reference to this and said that's a good way to do it. If they choose to go down a certain avenue. But then you had Grado, who was just absolute fun. Always makes a rumble a bit more better. Just scanning through to see if there's any other kind of like
Grado's better. I really enjoyed Grado and Jensen Vesper at the start. If that
Yeah.
ever gets booked as a singles match, that is golden. Honestly, if there's any promotions out there, please book Grado against Jensen Vesper in a singles match, because that match is money. If you want comedy, you've got it. You've got Grado. You've got Jensen Vesper. These two guys, Jensen doesn't really mean it, but his slapstick comedy is just, it's so good.
Yeah. He is one of those. he's one of those people that is both annoying but really brilliant as well when you watch him. Just kind of like the mannerisms and everything. And especially when you have someone that is irritating, so to speak, with how Vesper is, and having someone that's kind of as deadpan as Grado is. It just made for so much kind of like entertainment for the time we had together. It was just so much. It was so enjoyable to watch.
I hear you call my name, and it feels like home. When you call my name, it's just it's all breath, and down on my knees, I wanna take you there in the midnight. I can feel your power, just like a breath. You know I'll take you there. It's like an angel flying, but you rejoice, I hear your voice. Down on my knees, I wanna take you there in the midnight hour. I can feel your heart, just like a breath. You know I'll take you there. That's what it's building to. I wanna be my very best. Like no one ever was. Once again is my real test. The train that makes my cause. Now the travel. Now introducing the introduction of the 60s. The sounds of us. That coffee gonna serve. I know it's my destiny. My best friend. In a world we must defend. Pokemon, I'll catch 'em all true. You teach me and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon.
The final three, to which I think, listening to a podcast the other day talking about rumbles where you can normally guess where you're going with the final three, where if you have two bad guys and a good guy, it's normally a sign the good guy's winning. Equally, when it's two good guys and one bad guy, the bad guy's winning. Again, I don't think that's. I think that's just normal protocol, really. But it ended up with Aziz, Tony Wright, and Big T. The elimination finally of Aziz was quite comedic and actually well constructed, because every time Aziz was, I said, as I've said, every time Aziz went to get eliminated, Kong was always in the right place at the right time. On this occasion, they threw him the opposite side of where Kong was, and he couldn't make the save. So that was very well done. Then you had Tony Wright and Big T, which the last podcast we did saw Big T slapping the hell out of Tony Wright's back. If you want to go down the route of saying he got some revenge, so to speak, beating Big T, you can do, because that is what happened. As the leading man won the Rumble, which saw him being inserted into the main event, which we will come to in a tiny bit. So we went into the interval. We came back and had, for the Eve Tag Team Championships, Lally, that being Holly Barlow and Lana Austin, defending their titles against the Inspiration in Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay. What were your views on this one?
Trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what happened in this match. So I was looking forward to seeing the Inspiration because I thought they were going to come out as faces and like do the whole like normally how the Inspiration run matches, how like everybody loves them, but they come out as heels in this match, which was quite a surprise to see how the match unfolded between these two.
I think also having two hometown people in Lally that are so lovable and loved against the Inspiration, I think you definitely had a bit of a split in the room, because I think you had those that know mostly just like the American scene, so they may not have heard of Holly and Lana, but they will definitely have heard of kind of Cassie and Jessie. But this, I actually enjoyed this match, to be fair, and that comes across a bit bad. I did enjoy this match. I always felt the result was kind of like never in doubt, though. You always felt like Lally were going to win this match, but it was kind of how they could get put a bit of doubt in your mind with the match as well. To which they did do a really good job of, because quite a lot throughout this match, I actually thought that they might have the Inspiration win the contest, especially being Eve, and it could have tied into possible Wrestle Queendom down the line. So I was thinking, would they go that route? The end was a bit.
It was an easy way out to not take,
Yeah,
take a pinfall. It was. Was it?
I want to say it was wetter than a clown's fart, but it was a choice.
Yeah.
It's not how I would have done it.
It was Cassie Lee, wasn't it, with a belt shot to Lana?
Yeah. They
it
went
was
down the DQ line, which I think a lot of people. Well, I think it was probably the majority of that room didn't like that decision.
Yeah, it was a bit of a.
It felt a bit of a cheap kind of like result.
Yeah, just to protect the Inspiration, because the AEW now is like.
I mean, they could have done it a different way. I suppose a DQ works better. So I suppose it's kind of that way. That's the only way they could do it. I mean, they could have gone down the count out route, but it was what it was. Then we came to arguably the match of the night
Yeah, this was my
in
match of the night.
in what was Billy Gunn taking on Troy Ryan. I'll let you have first dibs on this.
This was a phenomenal, meaty match, like between Daddy Ass and Troy. I'm so proud of Troy at the minute. Like this guy is just crushing everything that's been given to him. Like he's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah.
The fact that he went toe to toe with Billy Gunn and give him the match of his life. I thought Billy Gunn was in trouble. It looked multiple occasions like Troy was going to get the free count over Billy Gunn.
It was the thing as well. You could see Troy. He could not hide his kind of like the big, massive smile on his face during the entire match. Happy as a pig in Chardonnay, you could say. The crowd, though, was firmly behind Billy Gunn, but at the same time, they were still cheering for Troy. Because I was thinking, were they going to have kind of like Troy be a bit heelish in this? Because again, this show was anything far removed from a normal Futureshock show, as we've said numerous times. So they could have decided to go down the route of, right, Troy, we want you to be the bad guy on this because everyone is cheering for Billy Gunn. I always went into this match thinking they were going to kind of like stall a bit and then we'd end up with like a tag team match. Then you could have had like a different version of the Meat Wagon for like one night only. To which, touching on the Meat Wagon, it was great to see Anderson Daniels coming out with Troy during his entrance. So that was really kind of touching and nice to see. But the match itself was such an enjoyable match to just sit back and enjoy. Obviously, Billy Gunn took the victory. But even in defeat, it still made Troy look so good. It was such a kind of like I said, it was the match of the night for me by quite a distance.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy Gunn takes the victory and saw us heading into the main event, which was for the Love of Wrestling Grand Championship in a freeway with Tony Wright, who won courtesy of his Rumble match. He would go up against TNA's Frankie Kazarian and the current champion in Sam Bailey, who, again, on Futureshock is a bad guy, but came out as a good guy, which, again, was one of those things where Bizarro World was effectively this show, in fairness. Some things made sense, quite a lot didn't. But that's kind of what makes it fun, really. To be fair, this was a really good main event. Frankie came out and cut a promo, bad-mouthing Manchester and the women of Manchester, which again was a choice.
Yeah.
Very much a choice. Then it looked like we were having Sam and Tony working together. And then we ended up, as we got to the end of the match, with the title belt being brought into the ring by Kazarian, and Bailey using the title to hit Tony, getting the 1, 2, 3, and having Bailey, who I imagine from this point onwards, when working these kind of like for the love of conventions or Comic Cons, I imagine he's now going to be the villain of the piece now, which would very much tie into everywhere else, it feels, because I don't think he's a good guy anywhere that I know of as we stand. What was your take on this match?
It was a fun little three-way match. Always great seeing Frankie Kazarian because he is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. So I'm glad I got to see Frankie again. Loved that he was busting out all of his vintage moves, like the slingshot, like leg drop, and all of like Frankie's like vintage moves. I'm trying to remember. Did he go for a chicken wing in the match? I think he went for a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So always good seeing Frankie pull out his like signature moves. Good to see Tony Wright showing he can compete in the same ring as a TNA legend in Frankie Kazarian. Sam Bailey just being Sam Bailey. You know what you're getting with a seasoned veteran in Sam. You can't fail with Sam Bailey. He's just such a legendary figure in the British scene. So, three fantastic wrestlers just putting on a great main event.
It was everyone involved in this match did their job brilliantly. It has to be said. Sam did his job kind of being an in-betweener, you could say, and then just being to put a fine point on it, a dick at the end. Tony is just lovable. Everyone just loves Tony. Frankie Kazarian, again. Sometimes you will have companies bring in like imports, and sometimes they may kind of choose to phone it in a tiny bit. Kazarian brought everything to this match. Again, they have been lucky, I feel, Futureshock, when they have brought in talent from TNA, because you had Macklin last year who had 2 matches. Again, sometimes you can bring in a top star and they might work kind of like be very low. They could do about 5 out of 10 and it'd be enough. But even kind of like Macklin and Kazarian here, they both gave it 10 out of 10. I think that's why people look at them so well, as fondly as they are. 10 out of 10 performances really helped that he kind of made the other 2 look even better as well in this contest, which is why it made this match so good to watch. But yeah, it was a fun little show in a very big venue. So that was Futureshock Breaks Convention VI. We then, a couple weeks later, saw things go from a big venue at the BEC Arena to the smallest venue in the small confines of the Fairfield Social Club. This was for Futureshock Strike First. Dear God, where do we start? At the beginning, because that's where we will. I will say now, the first two matches were absolute bangers. Absolute bangers, and have made it on my board of matches of 2026. So the opener we had was Lily Winter against Melissa Fierce. Jesus Christ. This, again, they normally say if you're not the main event, you want to be the first match on. And I mean, I'm smiling thinking about this match because it went hard. It was bloody good, and I think both women here not just made the other look good, they surpassed. It didn't deserve. I'm trying to think how to put this. It was good, but it surpassed what anyone probably thought we were going to get. And even then, that does not do it justice to how good this match was. I don't know what your take on this was.
I'm just lost for words how good this match was. And this was an opening match on a Fairfield show. These Fairfield shows at the minute have just been fantastic. Like, I am enjoying how they've I don't know if they've scrapped the gimmick Fairfield shows, but the route that they've gone down now for these Fairfield shows, putting on these matches, incredible. Like, this opening match was just back and forth, like, just some of the blows in this match, and like the suplexes, even just all like the simple like moves that you see like in every match, they just looked like 10 times harder than they normally are. Just like a normal suplex between Lily and Melissa just looked like it hurt a lot.
Because it's a thing of, I am a big fan of both, and I say it for Lily every time. Each time I see her on the next show, she gets better and better and better. And I think it's almost getting to the point where I think almost like bigger promotions need to just take a look at her now, because she's done so much grafting. She puts on banger matches. She can wrestle different styles, different opponents. Her match with Lucy Sky at Catch was one of the best matches this year. And then you have her going up against Melissa Fierce. Ironically, two people from the Northwest scene who have upped their games massively and are now on a more of a national scale. Lily, I feel, should be getting kind of bigger chances now. I mean, she's all over like the Northwest, even like some of like the Midland scene, and I think she might be going kind of like down south in a couple of weeks, or in the next few months at least. But yeah, this, you could make a case this was the match of the show. That's how good it was. To which it ended with Lily Winter holding the ropes while pinning Melissa Fierce. Even that finish was, I think you could see it coming a tiny bit when we got to it. However, it still was in keeping with kind of like how this match was. Lily tried everything to beat Melissa, Melissa did everything to try and beat Lily. No one could gain an advantage. And then when Lily had the chance to kind of just gain an upper hand by using the ropes a bit unfairly, she took it, ended up the winner. Love this match. I think it could be one of those where it is difficult to surpass that as an opening match this year on a Futureshock show. So we went from that to then Winter and Fierce almost telling the next encounter, which was Josh Easy and Chris Ridgway, to follow that. And they took the baton and run with it, because this was another banger of a match. So it's the majority of the contest was Easy just getting his backside handed to him, effectively. Ridgway beating the hell out of Easy. A lot of brutal moves being done to Easy. The crowd definitely played their part in this match, chanting for Josh. Ridgway mocking Easy at times, and the crowd. And then Easy would come out and get it wasn't a roll up, it was a reversal.
Yeah, it was a reversal from, because he got hit with a brain buster.
Yeah.
And then it was like a 2.5, and then it was a reversal for a 3.
To which Easy picked up the shock victory. I think that's his first win in Futureshock.
Yeah. Top. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
I completely forgot about that. Once that 3 hit,
yeah, and that just summed up how
the absolute pop in the Fairfield Social Club. That's one of the loudest kind of pops I've heard for a long time. It was loud, and then obviously you had Keenan Krishna and Teddy Ray coming out. They were in complete disbelief at what happened, as well as Ridgway. This then led to Northwest Strong attacking Easy after the contest, and would lead to our next encounter, which was for the tag team titles, as the 05 came down to make the save and help Josh Easy. But being in the ring, they decided to have the tag team match that was due to happen later on take place now. So, as I say, we had the tag team title match of the 05 against Northwest Strong's Keenan Krishna and Teddy Ray. What were your thoughts on this one?
Nice little first title defense for 05. Felt like it was the right challenges for him. It was a nice clash of styles, with Teddy and Keenan being more of the technical wrestlers, and the 05 being more of like the high flyers.
Because it was they effectively kind of like just worked on the knee of Deck Henry
and the leg of Dukes.
Yeah. So they kind of tried to break him down using technical wrestling. But but equally, because they are kind of like the villains, would break a fair few rules. I think it would be fair to say, to try and gain advantages. But they were a very efficient tag team. It has to be said. A lot of good tags. It did make for a really good tag match as well, because I feel sometime in these sort of matches, it feels a bit kind of like run of the mill tag matches where it's just isolate one and that's it. You don't really get much happening. Northwest Strong just kind of like constantly doing things behind the referee's back, picking body parts, just really taking it to the champions as if to say, right, you're champions, we're going to test you and see if you're really worthy tag team champions, because the way we are, we will just rip you apart. And as you say, this was a really good test for the 05. A test they came through with flying colours, as they ended up getting the victory. Yeah, 3 absolute banging matches for the first half. And then we went into the second half, which started again with a tag team encounter, as Dynamite, Lee Dawson, and Romy Kendrick teamed up to take on the McCarthy Performance Center members in the Tevlins, that being Aiden Tevlin and KJ Tevlin. What were your views on this one, Mr. Warrington Meltzer?
This was an interesting dynamic for a tag team match, because I felt the Tevlins obviously being the clear heels in this match. Dynamite a clear face. But Romy gave me a sense of he was going to turn in this match, because there was quite a few moments in this match where Dynamite was getting double teamed. Romy didn't offer the tag option on quite a few occasions. And I was like, is he going to turn heel and attack Dynamite? Because the vibe he was giving off in this match, it looked like he was going to turn heel. Eventually he didn't, but unless it's something that they're planning on doing for Romy, I feel like it might actually help his character if he turns heel, because at the minute with Romy, him being face in Futureshock, yeah, it's decent, but I feel like a heel Romy would be 10 times better than his character is right now.
It's an interesting thought. To be fair, I actually liked this pairing as a tag team. Both kind of high flyers. Both Kendrick and Dawson have power moves. So while they are, you could say, a high flying side, they are still a physical side as well. Which makes it a bit of an odd couple tag team, so to speak. The Tevlins, though, I think the first match they had, which I think was last year. Oh, was it last year, or was it the start of this year?
Was that when they beat Gen 1?
Yes. I'm trying to remember when I think it was last year.
End of last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I think that match, was more of a case of, as a tag team, get your feet under the table, get your first kind of like big tag match out the way. This one, they looked more solid, I felt, as a tag team. I think the last time we saw them, they were kind of arguably like nerves, I think, may have got to him. But again, having Gen 1 in there helping was ideal for him. This occasion, they looked really good. This is the best I've seen as a tag team. Both men did their jobs absolutely superbly. KJ, who is annoying because he is probably the more irritating of the two in how he goes about things.
I enjoyed. Oh, but he got ribbed. Somebody said he got a chessboard on his trunks.
Because yes, I remember now because of the
chessboard.
Yeah. But the thing with KJ was he was kind of like doing like dog noises and being very kind of like annoying, but in a good kind of like heelish way. Aiden had, if only I could remember what it was now. But he was just telling the crowd to shut up, and then told the little kid to sit down and shut up.
Shut up, kid! Sit down! Sit down!
It was the way he did it. Just, I think you saw me. I was killing myself laughing while I was trying to like.
You was in bits during that bit.
I was in bits just because of it. Because it was kind of like old school, kind of like villain of having a go at the crowd and then at the last moment just cutting someone down, which I just love when like the heels do it. Again, this match I really enjoyed. I think it helped the Tevlins out. The only thing I didn't like about this match was I felt that the Tevlins should have won just to help the McAfee Performance Center group be more stronger. But I suppose how things ended with like the powder keg DDT off the ropes by Dawson and Kendrick hitting his 5-star frog splash. I mean, it was a good win for them, but I felt it was a win the Tevlins needed probably more, personally. But as we will find out later, they have a chance to improve their record. But yeah, that was a really solid encounter. Our penultimate match on the show, originally scheduled to be Najay versus Gorgon. Najay was not there for other reasons. And so we had James Grayson come out and challenging Gorgon to a match, saying, I'll take Najay's place. Let's wrestle. I can't remember too much about this in fairness. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just I can't remember a whole lot about it. Other than kind of Gorgon looked probably the best I've seen him in recent times, because normally he comes out, he gets beat up quite bad, or he refuses to wrestle and gets his minions and his kind of like stable mates to do all the work. However, on this occasion, it felt Gorgon looked like a proper, so to speak, monster heel. Grayson always putting in an absolute effort. Does not always work out for Grayson in these matches. Again, really, it was a solid match by both.
I think
Again.
it's gonna lead to storylines. I think it is a match they've put together last minute because AJ didn't turn up, obviously. I feel like Gorgon's promo to Grayson, I think that's what we're gonna refer back to.
Yeah.
If we're thinking is gonna happen with a lot of us have said Grayson's gonna turn heel on Prince Pele, or it might be the other way around. Looking at, there's either two ways it can go. Pele ends Gen 1 and goes on his solos run, or Grayson ends Gen 1 and joins the McCarthy Performance Center. I'd go with the second option because I feel like the McCarthy Performance Center at the minute, they've got Deck, and then they've got a lot of trainee wrestlers. They've got Kong, they've got the Tevlins. I feel like if they add Grayson into the McCarthy Performance Center, they've got two seasoned veterans there in Grayson and McCarthy. And I feel like McCarthy and Grayson would make.
Yeah. It is one, I think we've said before, of I think they do need to bring in like a second established name, so to speak. So like you've got the Tevlins who are improving with every show. Kong, we haven't seen wrestle a whole lot. We've seen him in kind of like one match, but again, less is more with him. So the little things we have seen have been huge. Pardon the pun. And I think we're going to eventually get him and Ryan. Fingers crossed. So I think we are going to go somewhere towards that way. And then you've got like Deck, but I think you just need to add someone else to that group just to give it a bit more of make it feel a bit more of a monster heel group. Because at the moment it feels like it's simmering, but you just need to add something to it just to make it a bit kind of like stronger as like a heel faction. But the way kind of like Futureshock have been the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, I trust where they'll go with it. I might not have said that early last year, which I've been critical at times. But the way things are progressing with the McCarthy Performance Center, I think they do need like an extra established name in that group. Whether they do, who knows? However, on this occasion, it saw, as we drag the point back in, it saw Gorgon defeating James Grayson with, I don't know what the move is, but it's a bit of a weird one where he kind of hooks the arms and then sits down. It's a good move, I'll say that. It feels like an actual finisher. So that ended up being a win for Gorgon. And that saw us move to the main event of the show for the Futureshock title, as Dec McCarthy, accompanied by Kong, took on Slam Johnson, or Slammer the Eighth, with Dr. Proctor as his aide down at ringside. Again, no pun intended. What's your take on this one?
This was a good old slobber knocker of a main event. I enjoyed slamming this match. His Tron. Oh my god. His Tron and his t-shirt, man. Oh, it just got to Dec, and I feel like it made Dec more angry in this match. Like seeing Dec react to his t-shirt. Oh my god, man. This match was. I never thought I'd see Slam Johnson in a main event of a Futureshock show, but here we are, and my god, what a match!
So, for those that don't know, the Tron had a picture of Henry VIII. Again, it's Henry VIII, Slam Johnson dressed as him. It all can. Well, he came out originally as Slam Johnson, and then went back behind the curtain, came out as Slammer VIII, as we've said, with the big, massive kind of Henry VIII image in the background, and coming out to the Godfather theme. To which we then had Slam get in the ring, cut a promo. I can't remember what the line was. He said something to Declan, and Declan had to very quickly turn around.
Oh, because he cut it. He said he's going to be the king of Ulster.
So obviously Dec went for Slam, but equally had to very quickly turn around because you could see that he was laughing at that, which I think caught him off guard. Very quickly though, he managed to stop himself from laughing. So he did well there. But yeah, it's as you said, when you no disrespect to Slam here. When you look at Slam, he isn't someone you immediately think of as like a main event person, especially when you look at like other people. However, because of how the fans have took to him and how massively kind of like over he is with like the Futureshock faithful, especially how things went the last time at the Fairfield, where he came out as Henry VIII. I think when it's these Fairfield shows, I think on this occasion he's the perfect guy in the perfect setting and the perfect moment for this to have happened. I think if this had been at the Union or Stockport, it may not feel the same. But I think because it's at the Fairfield, and the Fairfield is, again, it's its own little vibe compared to Stockport and the Union. Stockport is very much like like hardcore Futureshock. The union is a bit less restrained, so to speak. And the Fairfield one is just chaos, effectively. But yeah, this was a really fun match. We had Proctor being sent to the back after McCarthy went to try and knock Slam's block off with the tag title, the Futureshock Championship. As Kong tried to distract the referee, grabbing Slam's leg. The referee turned around and saw, I think, Proctor with the title. Nothing happened, and then Deck threw himself to the ground, claiming he got a belt shot to the face. This then led to Proctor being sent to the back, and it effectively became a kind of a 2-on-1, really. However, the moment of Kong and Slam staring at one another gave me very much My Way vibes of Austin and The Rock from WrestleMania 17, to which I think I actually did a little spoof video on that on the Instagram reel. And then Declan just cleaning like Slam's clock, diving through the ropes, which was an interesting move, it's fair to say. Ended up with Declan getting the win over Slam. Again, I can't remember too much.
Exposed turnbuckle.
Is that
Deck ripped the pad off, and then Slam hit his head on the exposed turnbuckle, and then Deck finished him.
Yeah, it's slightly coming back to me now. So Declan retains and sees him now facing Pele at the next show Futureshock will be putting on. While he tries to page working. He does. As I have called you the Warrington Meltzer, what star rating would you give the Breaks Convention show first?
I give both the Futureshock shows. I give them both a 10 because, like, both shows just Futureshock are on a roll at the minute, so I can't. There's no reason for me not to give them a lower than a 10. Like, it might sound corny and cliche. Oh, you're just giving them a 10 because it's a fun show. No, these shows were brilliant. Honestly, fantastic.
I'll say this though. If I was doing ratings, I would probably give. This could be slightly controversial. I would give the convention show a 7. Were there a lot of good moments? Yes. However, I felt when you actually look at the matches and things with it, at times it was a bit disjointed or didn't fully hit as well, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad show, but if you look at it, the Eve tag team match had a bit of a screwy finish. The freeway for the main event was, well, the final two matches, I'd say, Billy Gunn against Troy, and Bailey, Frankie, and Tony were probably the best two on the show. The Rumble match, I felt, went a bit long. The elimination match, there were just little things I'd slightly tweak. Because I think that went slightly long as well. The tag title match was solid, but again, I think the match we had at Strike First was far better, personally, because I think it felt very much like everyone was more interested in what was going on the outside than the actual match itself.
Yeah.
So that's why I've give it a low rating. However, the Strike First show, I would give it probably
9.
a solid 9. Because I'm not someone to give 10s out. It's got to be an absolute cracker show. And to be fair, I don't think I'll ever give a show 10, because I don't think you can get a 10 out of 10 show, personally.
I'm the opposite of you then. I'll just dish out 10.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to go like extreme, I'd probably go 9.5. But I don't think you can truly give a show 10 out of 10. Even shows I've loved, like growing up, that I will die on many hills and say that was the best one. Even that, I couldn't give them 10. Personally, it's just how I'm wired. But yeah, I would give that a good solid 9. Strike First is probably the best Futureshock show I've seen for some time, from match 1 to main event. A lot of things worked. There was a lot of kind of storyline progression as well. And of course, having those opening bangers in Lillian, Melissa, and Josh and Chris. Maybe that's swayed my judgment, but hey ho, that's what I think. So, talking about the next show, we have show 1 on what is a double header at the MMU on the 28th of March. Test of the Faithful, which is a Traitors theme. Well, that's what it looks like they're going for. So we only have currently, at the time of recording, 5 matches. So show 1, we have Slambulance going up against the Tevlins, which I'm genuinely looking forward to see. Danny Hope against Joey Hayes, which I think they should have had a stipulation, but they could still add a stipulation to that match. Because I think it almost feels like that's died a bit, that storyline, because they've not followed through, and it feels like it's been left behind a tiny bit. We have an Adrenaline title match with Gorgon going up against Tony Wright. I do sense shenanigans possibly in that one. And show 2 in the evening, we have Kong against Dynamite Lee Dawson. And for the men's Futureshock Championship, Pele looks to try and end the reign of one Declan McCarthy. so far, both shows are looking pretty good.